I try to pay attention when I'm in there to, the mechanicals of the business of the house. Like they'll call me and say like, I've got a plumber here trying to do like, where a shut-off valve is for this? And I'm like, oh yeah, go down to the basement. It's over here in the corner.
Sure.
And like just because we've been in and out of the property many times.
Well, they have to have some, form of comfort in knowing that their property
so
so well.
We try to be, like invaluable to our customers.
Welcome to The Home Show, where we sit down with builders, designers, and real estate professionals shaping the spaces we call home. I'm your host, Oscar Michaels, founder of OM Media. And in each episode, we dive into the stories behind the brands, the strategies behind the success, and the marketing moves that help these local leaders stand out. From concept to completion, from startup to legacy, this is where real conversations happen. Today, I am sitting with the owner of Mauer Power LLC. This is Ben Mauer. He is a good friend, longtime friend. We've went to school together and, grew apart after school and stuff, but now we reconnected, which I'm excited. We're both business owners, which I'm excited to talk about a little bit your business. So, Ben, why don't you tell us a little bit about, who you are, where you kind of grew up, and how you found your way and rode into the electrician field?
Sure. Yeah. So I was born and raised in Sellersville. Went to school at Faith Christian Academy in Sellersville, so that area has been my life for, 25 years. I've since moved down to Plumsteadville area, but our shop is still up in Sellersville. That's, kind of our home turf. So growing up, through school, I actually worked in the building doing, maintenance and custodial work as I grew up.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So I mowed the soccer field there, all the property, everything like that.
Wow.
Over, when the daycare was there, doing all the trash in the daycare.
Yeah.
Some nasty diaper trash bags and stuff. Even before that, we had neighbors up the street that they had like a little farm in their backyard. They had chickens, goats, ducks, everything, so that was, weekends, we'd go up there and, clean up, take care of all the animals and everything, feed them, clean out their pens, everything like that.
The farm life?
Yeah. So, I think I started up there when I was like 9.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So that was, you just walk right up the street. And,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So you graduated from Faith Christian Academy. What year was this? 2012?
2013.
13? Okay. And then what was the next step from there in life?
Yeah, so I graduated in 2013. I went to college in West Virginia.
All right.
On a soccer scholarship.
Nice.
I only went for one semester.
All right.
I went to play soccer.
Yeah.
Decided I didn't really like the school. Came back for my second semester, my freshman year, and went to Bucks.
Okay.
And then second year college, I transferred to Liberty University.
Yeah, sure.
I was at Liberty for a full year.
Okay.
Second year at Liberty. So in between, college, I'd be home on breaks and weekends and everything. We had a family friend who he was trying to start his own electrical business.
Okay.
And kind of growing up through doing maintenance. I did a little bit of everything.
Sure. Well-rounded.
And, he would need help on nights and weekends. And, electrical was kind of something I didn't know a lot about, but I'd always kind of wanted to learn. And he just asked me to come help him a couple times. And it just kind of went from there. So I'd work for him on breaks and stuff. And,
okay. What year was this when you were working with him?
So I started first working with him senior year of high school.
Okay.
On like nights and weekends.
Okay.
And then, so that like 2012, 2013.
Sure.
And then, 2014, I kind of started to realize that college was not my thing.
I feel you on that. I went and now that I'm doing what I'm doing, I don't regret it because I did learn this stuff. It wasn't for me. I was there for baseball and that was my mission, my goal, my priority. And I just wasn't I was a creative. I wasn't great in the books and whatnot. I was very, street smart. I think that was, I wanted to finish. When I start something, I'm 110% in, but I kind of wish I didn't go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not for everyone.
No, and I mean, there's so many great things and valuable experiences that are gained and learned from being at college.
Sure.
But I was kind of at the point of, I was like, I really just transferred my second year because I had a lot of friends that were there, and I was like, you know what, like, I'll just go hang out with them for
Yeah.
a year. And it's just a lot of money to spend
Yeah,
to
dude.
just
To hang out.
yeah, so I wouldn't change it. It was a great experience. And so after the first semester, our family friend, he went full time with his business,
Nice.
and he wasn't sure if he was going to need full time help. So I went back for the second semester, my sophomore year, and kind of as we were wrapping down, his business took off, and he offered me a full time job working for
Wow.
him, and
Okay.
yeah, so I started. I think I got back from college, and 3 days later, I started working full time
Damn. Okay.
full time for him, and
So you left college and
I
just
did,
picked
yeah,
up full time.
yeah,
Okay.
yep.
Now, like, is there, I mean, you were already doing it, but was there an apprenticeship or something? Like, how do you go from just working to becoming like certified electrician or?
So the state of Pennsylvania is different than pretty much any other state
Okay.
in like America.
Okay.
So most states have like a required apprenticeship program.
Sure.
After your apprenticeship, you become a journeyman, and
Okay.
then after being a journeyman for so long, you can test for your masters to get your
Okay.
state license.
What are the requirements? Like hours? Put in?
Hours, yeah, work hours, school hours.
Okay.
Pennsylvania does not have that.
Interesting.
There's no requirement for that. They leave it up to cities and townships to like have their own licensing process.
Interesting. Okay.
So a lot of like your local municipalities and stuff, there's no licensing requirement. You have to be registered with the state
Sure.
as a contractor, showing proof of insurance,
Yeah, of
and
course.
and everything like that. But like the city of Philadelphia, they have their own like license that you have to go take a test,
Sure.
to be able to work in Philadelphia to pull permits, anything like
Interesting.
that.
So
Yeah.
if you're like a business up here and you have permits up here and you get a job down in Philly, you have to go get licensed in Philly.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that every township? So like if you are working in Sellersville and you get a job in Buckingham or Doylestown,
No, so the major ones are like Philadelphia.
I guess it's county, right?
It county, city, like Philadelphia,
Sure.
Allentown has one, Reading, Bethlehem,
Interesting.
Lower Merion
That's wild.
has one. It really just kind of depends on the area that you're working at.
I never knew.
In the
So I
state of
had to ask.
Pennsylvania, yeah, it's there are apprenticeship programs available,
Sure.
that people can go through,
Sure.
and but like for me, all of my training was just on
On the job experience.
Yeah.
Doesn't get better than that.
No,
That's awesome.
it's kind of the best way to learn,
Yeah, absolutely.
in my opinion.
So you were working with this guy for how long until you were like, I'm gonna go start my own thing?
So I worked for him like for 3 years, kind of through high school, 2 years of college, and then I worked for him for 2 years after
Okay.
college.
All right.
It was 80 to 90 hour weeks for 2 years.
So you put the work in.
Yeah, we were. I was like, I think about it now. I was like, I worked 4 years, like hours wise, and two.
That's insane.
And it was it took a toll.
Yeah, I bet.
It did.
What type of work were you doing with him? Mainly residential or some commercial or a little
A
of
lot of commercial, industrial
Wow.
stuff, and then some residential
Okay.
stuff. We could be in like machine shops,
Okay.
moving equipment, doing big power, anything like that. The next day we could be down in Philadelphia rewiring an old house down in Philadelphia.
Sure.
It was really diverse.
Yeah.
And and it was a great opportunity to really learn a lot of stuff, like as a whole.
Okay.
Versus kind of being locked in
Sure.
for one thing. It kind of makes you invaluable
Yeah.
to be able to kind of do and cover a broad spectrum of.
Yeah. I can imagine like you probably just got well rounded in those 2 years to like understand a little bit of everything.
Yeah, it was it started off great. It kind of turned into, where we were so busy, he kind of wanted to stay more in the office.
Okay.
So
Makes sense.
we kind of get, like, here's the plans for the jobs. If you have any questions, call me.
Wow.
So it was like,
So you were the guy.
I was the guy. I just had to figure it out.
Sure.
So I can remember many a days and long nights of just kind of being frustrated because some of the stuff you're just kind of have to figure it out as you go. It was difficult.
Of course.
You know, but I look back now, it was just like I wouldn't be where I'm at now if I hadn't kind of gone through that and
Sure.
persevered through that and had those experiences.
That's crazy. So when was it in your head you were like, I have everything I need to go and do my own thing? Or like, what was the driving factor behind it?
It actually, when I left, I had no intention of starting my own business when I left.
Really?
Yeah, yep. You know, some growing pains and stuff like that.
Sure.
I was just kind of, it was time for me to go.
Yeah, it wasn't a right fit anymore.
And you know, so I didn't know what I was gonna do. I was gonna take a month off.
Just clear your head.
Yeah, I was at the point like I couldn't even tell you what day of week
Man.
it was. Like it was just everything was just kind of a blur.
Sometimes I can't tell you the day of the week now. I
Yeah.
get it.
And so I actually ran into a friend who was a general contractor on my last day who knew my boss at the time that I was working for, and
Okay.
he's like, "Ah, how things going?" I was like, "Yeah, it's actually my last day."
Wow.
And as he's like, "Oh, what are you doing?" I was like, "I don't know." I was like, "I just got to take some time off." You know, he's like, "Well, we're really busy. If you know, like if you want to work, just call me. Let me know."
All
I
right.
was like, "All right, we'll do." So I took like 3 days off, and I was like,
Can't
sit around. I was like, I gotta get back to work. So I called them up. They had a big project in Phoenixville that they were doing.
Okay.
And so I went and worked for him for 3 months. And
Doing electrical stuff or doing building stuff?
I did everything for him. Electrical, putting in drop ceilings, putting flooring in,
Really?
framing, everything. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And you know, and I had kind of worked for him on the side, you know,
Sure.
in a little bit of free time I would have, like, you know, helping them out too.
Okay.
And he gave me a 1099, you know, and he's like, I'm just gonna, you know, you just work for me as a 1099.
Yeah.
And
Call you when I need you.
I'll call you when I need you, you know, but like you need to have your own insurance. And I was like, okay. And I had always had people asking me, like, hey, do you do side work? And I would always say no because I didn't have insurance.
Sure.
You know, and it's a big liability
It's massive.
to do that work without, you know, insurance, even just for a friend's family or
Sure.
whatever. So I went out, got a policy, and I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm just gonna create an LLC, just, you know,
Just to be safe.
yeah, just to be safe, a little bit of separation, everything like that. And it just kind of like took off. All those people that asked me like, hey, do you do side work? I was like, yeah, like I can, like I have a company, I have insurance, like I can
No
do
way.
that for you. Like,
All right.
yeah.
So it was like a slow grow process for you. Like it wasn't like, I'm going to go start my own business. It was kind of like, you know, I'm not really sure what to do. I have people reaching out. Let me just, you know, play it safe, get insurance in an LLC.
Yeah.
And it just rolled out that way.
Yeah. I mean,
Wow.
you know, so when I started like in college, I started as a criminal justice major.
Wow. Complete opposite.
Yeah. And, you know, and kind of as I kind of went through college, I was like, you know what, like this isn't for me. So when I transferred my second year, I changed to business.
Okay. Smart.
And I was like, that summer between my freshman and sophomore year, I was working as a laborer for a big home builder.
Okay.
And I was like, you know what, like I think at some point I want to own my own construction company. So I changed to business my second year, and you know, and that was like my goal at some point.
So you had the idea in your head you wanted to run a business.
I had the idea
Okay.
of doing something, yeah.
Sure.
It's just, you know, at the time, like when it all happened, it wasn't the intention of
Sure.
really like going with it full time.
Diving in.
It was just kind of, you know, like, hey, let's just, you know,
Sure.
I think it was just kind of like a weekend thing, like
Sure.
get another full-time job and, you know, and then
Make some extra cash.
we'll kind of grow it a little bit. Maybe eventually we can go full time, but
All right.
it just kind of took off from day one.
So what year was it when you got the LLC and your insurance? Like when was that?
So insurance, I got that. That was like the end of 2016.
Okay.
Then I formed the LLC the beginning of 2017.
Awesome.
January 2017.
Man, literally same time as I did everything. I mean, I think I got the LLC March of 2017, but I didn't really like start the business till early or late 2017, early 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was a wild time to start a business.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So like you're a year in, right? 2017, 2018, COVID happens. What was that like for you guys?
So at the time, it was just me. I
Sure.
didn't have any employees at the time.
Okay.
You know, so thankfully we were in a good place kind of right before the shutdown happened,
Sure.
we had just wrapped up a bunch of projects and stuff. So,
Nice.
so cash flow was good.
That's awesome. And
You
if you're
know,
solo too, it's probably light overhead, right?
yeah, yup. So it was good. We had some other projects going on. We were able to, kind of do a couple of like, it was still like if it was an emergency, you
Sure.
could go work. So we were still able to do some jobs. In all honesty, it was kind of a nice break.
Nice lull.
It was kind of like 2 or 3 months
Sure.
that things were shut down. So I actually went down to Tennessee
Nice.
to see if my sister was living down there,
Oh,
my
cool.
older sister. So I went down to see her. I helped her move and everything.
Nice.
And
Wait, you have 2 sisters?
I do, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I have a younger and an older sister.
I didn't know that. All right, so you're the middle child. Okay.
Yep.
I know Rachel, but I didn't know your other sister.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yep. So it was nice to take that time and and do that. And then we had a new house that we had been wiring over in Schwanksville. And so when things kind of reopened, we just kind of jumped back in, and then things just kind of construction wise stayed open from there. So for us, it was really only 2 or 3 months
Yeah.
of
I would say about the same for us too. Right at the time, it was just me, and I wasn't ready for how crazy the real estate market was going to get. I don't think anyone was.
yeah.
Did you feel that like the floodgates open when the closure stopped? Like, did you get like calls like crazy from businesses or homeowners like, hey, we want to do something, we can't move, it's impossible? Or
It was a weird time at the beginning when the real estate market really took off. It was a lot of work was from realtors,
Sure.
and stuff like that, from home inspection reports, repairs. A big one is usually like the electrical service needs to be upgraded,
Sure.
to like a new panel and that kind of stuff. So I would say like the first year, kind of from 2020 to 2021, was really busy.
Sure.
But that kind of slowed down because the market got so competitive. A lot of people were waiving inspections
I believe it.
and that kind of stuff. So it kind of slowed down in that regard,
Okay.
but it picked up in another side of, like a lot of people, like pole buildings have been huge
Yep.
over the last couple of years. A lot of people put up pole buildings. They want a service for the pole building.
It's crazy how cheap they are compared to, someone come out and build like a 2x4 garage.
Yeah.
And pole barns,
And they'll put it up in
it's insane.
2 days.
And so like I know like the Amish out in Lancaster and stuff, like they didn't really specialize in that, right? Or like they were so good at woodworking skills. But now I'm seeing like Amish companies, they'll come and slap a pole barn with poured foundation in 2 days.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, we had a customer. He's put up a couple of them. They're 4,000 to 5,000 square feet.
Wow.
They'll put them up in 3 days.
That's insane.
Like,
It's insane.
yeah,
And like you can outfit those as a house now. Like I've seen people
Yeah.
build the houses up in like Upper Black Eddy and stuff. Like it's a great route to go if you want bigger square footage for a cheaper price.
it is. Yeah, it's from what I've heard. Like financing for those, like it is a little bit tricky because
Okay.
it's not like a traditional mortgage.
Sure.
So there is a little bit of like extra kind of work that has to be done
Sure.
to kind of go that route. But it can save you a lot of money. And it
Absolutely.
also kind of is great because I mean they're not expensive.
Yeah, we just photographed one, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks ago, and it wasn't their main house, but it was like a garage with like apartment living upstairs. I think they had like like a guest suite with
Yep.
like 2 bedroom, and it was just like when you're inside, you had no idea it was a pole barn. They
Yeah.
drywalled it and
Yeah.
it looked like a house.
Yeah, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, they're not like the size of the building, they're not expensive.
Yeah,
And then like, like I've looked at it like as a business owner, like
absolutely.
I could put up a 4 or 5,000 square foot building for probably I could buy the building
Fraction.
for under $100,000.
Yeah,
A building, and then like
most expensive part will be the land.
yeah,
You put it on.
you could make one half a house and just have the other half as your shop.
Absolutely.
For not that much money.
For sure.
That was a huge kind of part of it. And then, kind of additions.
Sure.
A lot of people were doing additions.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people got like businesses specifically got the like small business loans, which I feel like they were doing a ton of like renovations or additions on their business.
Yeah.
And then homeowners, they were getting those checks or whatever.
A lot
And,
of kitchens and bathrooms.
and the market was so hot and competitive, some people just couldn't move. Like, yeah, you could sell your house, but where are you going?
Yeah.
So people were like, let's build an addition. Let's, put another garage on, whatever. So that you saw like some impact on that.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of just bounce kind of where the work is.
Yeah, right. Whoever's calling.
Yeah. Kind of from one area to another. We worked for a couple flippers, that would buy some properties and stuff, and we'd go and rewire them, redo them, everything. And
I would love to flip houses. Like I've always loved HGTV and watching the people build and stuff. I don't have the skill set to take that risk.
Yeah.
Like you got to know some stuff to save money and keep your profit margins there. I've always wanted to do that at some point in my life. So if I ever, save up enough money to take that risk, I plan on it. So
are you a perfectionist?
Yes and no.
Okay.
If it's something I'm really passionate about, yeah. So like shooting a house and shooting a hotel or a restaurant, like I like things to be picture perfect.
Yeah.
Not to beat a dead horse, but like getting in there and making sure the framing's right, the lighting's right. The ultimate goal is to make the client happy.
Yeah.
But if I'm not happy with my own work, it's hard to make them happy.
Yeah.
Because then I don't portray that like, oh, this is the best job I could have done.
Yeah.
But yeah, so rental properties, like I probably wouldn't be a perfectionist. Like as long as it's cozy and things are together well and it's like a nice spot, like I could, if the caulk's not perfect, I'm not going to be upset.
Right.
Whatever. But why do you ask?
We've worked for kind of like both ends of the spectrum of flippers, where guys that are just like, they just want to get in, slam everything in as quick as possible and get out as quick as possible, trying to just squeeze every penny they can out of it, to guys that they want everything perfect.
Wow.
And which I appreciate that.
Sure.
But they don't make as much money.
Yep.
Because they're spending more, they're paying on a mortgage longer.
Yep.
Than, so it's just, that's kind of why I asked.
Like timing is of the essence in that field, right?
Yeah. The sooner you can kind of get it done, get what it's just the more money you'll make.
Yeah, because the longer you have it, you're holding that mortgage or whatever, the note.
Exactly. So there kind of has to be a little bit in that, with a little give and take.
Sure.
Of maybe we'll put a little bit like nicer finishes in this area. We'll shave a little bit over here, and that can kind of be difficult for some people.
Yep.
Because you don't really think about that.
Yeah, you're thinking of it from like an emotional standpoint in terms of like, oh, I need the finishes to look really good for someone to move in here, where it's like someone's just, there's so many renters out there. Like, as long as it's livable, clean, like that's what people are looking for.
Yeah.
Things work.
You want it to look nice, but at the end of the day, you're doing it to make money.
Yeah.
So like, as long as you can turn that property over and sell it to somebody, like it's clean, it's safe.
Yeah, as long as you can collect a check.
And it looks nice.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things, somebody that buys it might hate.
They're probably going to do whatever they want.
Yeah, we're going to do anything that they want anyway. So it's, kind of like we've seen guys that like, they just get so focused on like, they want the kitchen to look a certain way. They want this look, and it takes them a while to sell the property because like people don't necessarily like it.
Yeah.
Like there's just
whatever you might like is what you have to go with, like what the general public is gonna like. You don't want to go too wild with design choices or selections or whatever.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny how like as an electrical contractor, like you learn so much of this other stuff, like just through just doing work for people, and you see this kind of stuff and you just kind of store it in the back of your mind, like if I ever do this, like
now I know.
Now I know that, make it nice. It doesn't have to be crazy. You just make it nice.
Yeah, it's nice because you have like hands-on experience of watching other people put their risk on the line, and you get to play with their money to do stuff. And if they mess up, it's not on you, but you learn from their mistake.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right. So let's dive back into not my dreams of flipping houses. But let's talk about, so now you're 9 years in business, right? And tell me a little bit about like what the inside of Mauer Power looks like. Do you have people working with you, people working for you?
We've grown, employees kind of come and go.
Of course.
It's so incredibly difficult right now to find people, to keep people. We've gone from one full-time guy up to three full-time guys plus myself.
Wow.
We're kind of fluctuating all over the place. Just
you're not the only contractor. Everyone that sits down is like, no one wants to work. It's hard to find good help.
Yeah, that's been challenging. It's of trying to like manage your workload also with like the labor that you have. I don't like to say no.
Yep.
You know, so like we've been very fortunate. We have a good group of like subcontractors
Sure.
that we can call up, you know, when we're really, really busy if we're short on guys. It's been super helpful. Business owner, like when I started, I didn't have any experience in running a business.
Yeah.
I didn't, you know, it's
And
kind of
school doesn't teach you, you know, what it's actually like.
yeah, like I took accounting.
Yeah. They
But
give you the
like
surface level.
yeah,
Sure.
you know, but like as far as, you know, like workers' comp,
Yep.
like, you know, and like, you know, at the end of the year you get workers' comp audit
Yep.
from the insurance company, you know, which is like, I was like, what? You know, so just trying to navigate that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
I'm sure there's challenges constantly. Like whenever you're managing people, it comes with 7 other things you have to worry about.
absolutely. It's, you know, you kind of, I have a lot of friends, you know, that are managers or they own their own businesses. You always kind of joke around like, you know, it's like adult babysitting.
Oh my God. I know.
You know, it's kind of like it's just kind of what it is.
Exactly what it is.
You know, I've been very fortunate to have the people that have worked for me for the most part have been good people.
Sure.
You know, that have shown up and worked hard, and I still like everybody that's left. Like we're still friends. There's no hard
Sure.
feelings. You know, it's just like you got a better opportunity somewhere
Yeah.
else. I can't fault you for
Yeah.
you know, for wanting to
It's your
make
life, man.
more money, for
want
you
to
know,
do.
for wanting to do something different. Like I can never fault you for that. Like
Yeah.
I'm happy
Yeah.
for you that you have that ability.
Yeah.
You know, I wish I could like you
Make
could
it happen
stay. I
for
wish
you,
I
sure.
could pay you more to stay, but you know, you just sometimes you can't.
Yeah.
And so you know, so like for everybody that's been the biggest challenge, you know, like the last I hired my first employee 4 years in.
Okay.
You know, so it was 2021
Okay.
when I hired my first guy. Second guy was I think the fall of 2021.
Wow. So you're moving pretty quick.
And then the third was spring of 2022.
Wow.
You know, and then from there, you know, we've had people come, people go.
Sure. What was the most people you had on your team at one point? Was 3?
Most was myself and three other full-time.
That's pretty
full-time
solid for,
guys.
you know,
Yeah.
local electrician contractor.
Yeah, I mean, I was running the 3 full-time guys. I had 2 guys that were pretty much subbing for me full-time as well.
Wow.
You know, so like I was running like almost 5 guys full-time.
Wow.
You know, plus I mean, at this point, like I just had one guy that left in February. So it's just me and one other guy.
Sure.
But like all our subs are still there and everything.
Yeah, of course.
You know, so yeah, but we're just calling them a little bit more.
Yeah. How many jobs do you typically, like on average, have going at once? Does it vary quite a bit, or?
It can vary. We actually one of the guys that came to work for me in the fall of 2021 was a good friend of mine who did heating and air conditioning. He came over, you know, he wanted to do that, so we started a division for heating and air conditioning.
Okay.
He ended up leaving, but you know, like I had gotten all my certifications and everything, and
Sure.
and like I was like, I really enjoy this. Like I like it.
Okay.
You know, so we stuck with it. So we still do
Wow.
you know,
Okay.
heating and air conditioning on top of
Yeah, I guess what services do you offer? Let's talk about that. I'm sure people, you know, that will listen to this will want to know, like, what do you offer?
We do like residential, light commercial.
Sure.
You know, and from, you know, boilers to furnaces, heat pumps,
Sure.
you know,
Yeah, I feel like there's not a lot of people that work on like oil heat as much anymore.
no. It's
So it's like,
yeah.
I don't know if it's a dying breed or what. Like my house has oil and it's hard to find someone to work on.
It is hard to find, but it's dirty.
Yeah, of course.
It smells.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, oil heat is basically diesel fuel.
Yeah.
Is what, you know, so
Exactly what
it's
it
like
is.
you just like you reek, your tools reek. It's
Yeah.
you know, like not a lot of guys do it.
Sure.
A lot of guys want to do it.
Yeah.
It's kind of a nuanced thing
Yeah.
of kind of where like on an oil burner, you know, like there's a certain like nozzle. So it has like a really small tip on the end
Sure.
that like sprays on a high pressure fuel into
Yeah.
the chamber. And then like on your burner, there's also like a separate spot to adjust airflow
Okay.
kind of going through. So it's not just kind of like just turning it on, like
Sure.
turning it and going. Like there's a lot
Components in
a
that.
lot of components that you have to kind of go through and really you know, like doing efficiency tests and
Yeah.
everything to see, you know, what you're running at, and you know, if you're
There's just like pressure.
if
gauges
you're
and
running a
stuff.
little lean, you know, like kind of a little more air, taking some air out. Like
Sure.
it's not just set it there and walk away.
Yeah.
And that's been, I've seen like in the HVAC industry, where a lot of the equipment now, more so on like your general like heating and air conditioning side of like a traditional air handler or like furnace
Sure.
and that kind of stuff, where like now everything's like boards,
Sure.
where, if there's a problem, like it flashes an error code. So it's kind of taken away from like a lot of service techs and stuff, like
guesswork. Right.
the like the need to really troubleshoot.
Yeah.
It's kind of a lost art form
Interesting.
to a point
Okay.
of being able to actually like diagnose what's wrong with a piece of equipment, like
Sure.
besides just looking at the board and seeing like a flashing error code.
Interesting. So kind of like in the sense of a mechanic, they plug that thing in under the dash and tells you, reads the code.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It'll, so it has like created in a sense, like, especially on the oil side, like you don't have that on oil.
You got to know what you're doing.
You got to
know what you're looking for.
Yeah. Like there's a lot of components and a lot of different variables that of diagnosing that, like you have to know, you have to put in effort to figure it out. And that's kind of something that is a lost
art.
Yeah.
Sure. So you're doing like heating, air conditioning stuff now. You're doing your regular electrical stuff, and there's no job too big or too small in that sense for you guys, right? So you're talking earlier before we started, like stadium lighting, if someone wanted to do something like that, or running power from the street into a house to a panel, right?
Yeah.
Putting in new panels. What jobs like do you typically get on, just to give viewers an idea, like what could you help with?
Yeah. So we've kind of starting, from day one, in the very beginning, you take any call that comes in.
Sure. We need some light switches changed.
Yeah, sure. Light switches changed. You need outlets changed. My outlet's not working, whatever.
Sure.
You take any and everything that can come in, and we'll still do that kind of stuff.
Of course.
It can be difficult sometimes. I've tried to explain this to customers of, where like somebody will call you out of the blue, will get your number off the internet, and say like, I have an outlet that's not working. Like you say like, okay, and and they're like, what does it cost? Like, what's it going to cost to fix it? Like, I don't know
until I get there,
but I have a minimum charge,
of course,
of what it's going to cost to come out
for sure.
And like when I first started, I didn't have a minimum charge. It was just, I wanted to take every job that I could, because that's how you grow and build a customer base.
Yep.
So it's trying to explain to people that like different businesses have different overheads. Like, this is why like our minimum charge to come out is $250.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like, hey, I gotta hop in the truck, gotta put gas in there, make sure I have a new outlet to swap for you.
Yeah, I gotta
pay a guy.
Insurance, I gotta pay a guy. I gotta and like, so a lot of people are like, wow, that's really expensive. And like it is. I understand that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like if I were to go and do that for like what I used to charge, like I would lose money. It would actually cost me money.
Yeah, I get it.
So,
some people, specifically like just your average homeowner, they don't understand business margins and stuff like that. So setting the expectation up front is the best way to handle it, and just be transparent.
Yeah. So, so like I said, we still do some smaller service calls to we'll do additions.
Sure.
Like on the residential side generally, like larger additions to, we did a big project last summer. We did a 600 amp service.
Okay.
For the house. I did a big pool house, outdoor terrace.
Wow.
All sorts of crazy.
What about like
stuff.
I don't know, like I've talked to another electrician, they don't handle like generators. They'll run the wiring for the hookup, and then they have a generator contractor come in and drop the actual generator down.
Yeah, so we do generators too. Yeah, we're an authorized dealer.
Nice.
For Cummins.
Okay.
Of generators.
Sure.
So a lot of guys, like electricians especially, like they'll do the electrical hookups, but like usually either need natural gas or propane.
Sure.
For a generator, they're gonna hire a plumber to do that.
Yeah.
Everything like, well, because we do heating and air conditioning.
You already know it.
We can do our own gas work. We can do so we can turnkey and install like.
Wow.
Just
Yeah, I feel like a lot of electricians don't have those certs or knowledge to do it, so they run the wiring and then they call a vendor to come in and do it.
Yeah.
So you're one-stop shop for that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And that's kind of what I've wanted to be from day one, kind of for our customers. You know, like I want to be the guy that you call for everything.
Yeah.
You know, like I have customers that call me for things that aren't even related to things that we do, but like I've been in their house or in their business like so much. And like, you know, I kind of I try to pay attention
Yep.
to, you know, like when I'm in there to, you know, the mechanicals of the business of the house, like they'll call me and say like, I've got a plumber here, you know, trying to do like, do you know where a shut-off valve is for this? And I'm like, oh yeah, it's like
Wow.
go down to the basement, it's over here in the corner,
Sure.
you know, and like just because we've been in and out of the property so
Yeah.
many times, you know, like
They have to have some, you know, form of comfort in knowing that
yeah,
you know their property
yeah.
so
So we
well.
try to be, you know, like invaluable
Yeah.
to our customers, and not just as like contractor coming in to do work, but a lot of our customers are friends too.
Sure.
You know, like over the years, we just built relationships that, you know, like we're friends.
I think
you
that's
know?
the biggest topic on the show of season 1 so far for the podcast is like, you know, you're 10% of whatever your service is and you're 80%, 90% of customer relations.
Yeah.
Customer relationship management is the biggest, you know, key to success, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, I take photos, but at the same time, I'm like, you know, how are you doing? Is everything good? Are you happy with the product, the quality?
Yeah.
How can we, you know, add more value to your business? And that's like, that is what's grown my business tenfold since I've started. And it's like you said, invaluable.
Yeah. It's, you know, from like, you know, like on the residential side to like our commercial customers where, you know, we have one, we actually just finished up replacing all their lighting in their warehouse. We changed it all over to LEDs. We had one of our suppliers was running a special, like these LED lights for $1.
Oh my God.
You know, I was like, hey, like, you know, we've been going through, you've had some lighting that's kind of been going out. I was like,
what was it? Fluorescent or whatever?
it was like first generation LED stuff.
Okay.
You know, so I mean, it was old.
Sure.
You know, it probably almost 15 years.
Okay, yeah, that's dated for sure.
On, you know, from 6:30 in the morning till 5 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot of hours.
It's burning.
Yeah. So they hit lights that were starting to fail and everything. Basically, you can't really fix them. It's not really cost effective.
No.
So basically just
now with the price of LEDs, like you just said, they're like, you can get some like really good LED lighting for cheap.
You just kind of toss it and put up another one.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, these are $1. I was like, well,
do all of them.
Yeah, like they're starting to fail. Like, let's just do them all. You know, like
just get it done.
Yeah, it's gonna, you know, you're
gonna have more headaches down.
You get 100 light fixtures for $100. If you know, like if you were to just go buy them on, like they're anywhere $150 to $200.
Yeah,
like,
seriously.
So you know, you just bought $15,000-$20,000 of light fixtures for $100.
That's crazy.
Like, you know, so like we try to help out our customers in any way, shape, or form that we can. You know, because without them, like
you're nothing.
Yeah, we're nothing. You know, so as much as they give to us, we want to be able to give back to them and be invaluable to them.
Of course. So what's the best way for someone to find you, reach out to you? Like what's the best way to get in touch? Website, call you, email?
So, you know, we're listed on Google. We have a Facebook page.
Sure.
You know, it's easier for me to answer a phone call because I can just keep doing what I'm doing and talk on the phone at the same time.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
And versus, you know, if I get a text, I got to stop, look at my phone, read it,
try and understand it.
Try to understand it. And then usually I'm reading it, I get a phone call.
Yeah, forget about it.
I talk on the phone, I wrapped up my phone call, and I forgot I was answering a text. Phone just goes back in the pocket. And then, you know, you hear back like, hey, we never heard back from you. I was like, I'm sorry. You know, like, yeah.
Call you in 10.
Yeah, so like, you know, calling us is the best way to get in touch.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you coming in and talking about your business. I'm excited that you're doing well. You know, we went to school together and get to see each other growing up and being successful. Hopefully we get to work together, and hopefully I can maybe provide some connections in my world with some of the builders, contractors, architects, designers that we work with.
Yeah.
I'd love to help out in any way that I can. For anyone that's watched this, Ben is a great dude. If you have an opportunity that, you know, you need some stuff fixed in your house in terms of electrical, HVAC, or heating, give him a call. He's a great guy. I'm sure you can help in, you know, more ways than one. So thanks for watching the episode, and thanks for being here, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome, dude. Thanks for tuning in to The Home Show. I hope you enjoyed the conversation and found something you can take with you. If you liked this episode, be sure to follow us and subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And if you're a local leader in the real estate, design, or construction industry and want to share your story, visit om-media.com to apply to be a guest. Until next time, remember, you can't go home without OM.